Hello YouTube, welcome back to another video. So lately I've been trying to complete my original Xbox collection. By complete I mean I'm not going for a complete set of PAL or NTSC games or Japanese games or whatever. It's just my personal goal of the games that I'm interested in that are still missing from my collection. I will probably make a video soon of my complete collection, but today I just want to show you the games that I added recently, that I got in the last few days and weeks. And this is only limited today to the original Xbox. So let's start. So, first of all, this is The Bard's Tale. This is an RPG with some action elements, top-down view. I've played this before, years ago. I started the game, I really liked it, I enjoyed it, but I never finished it and I never had a copy of my own, so this is why I got this one now. And the next one is American McGee's presents Scrapland. Another game that I have played quite a few years ago, but once again I've never finished it, I've never played it for longer, but I remember that it was quite interesting, so another one for the collection to hopefully get around to playing at some point. And then there is this one here, Urban Chaos Riot Response. This is yet another game that I started years ago. I played it, I never had my own copy, and finally have my own copy now. And I got this a few days ago and I got back into playing it. I really got into the game again, and I have to say I really like it. For those who don't know this game, this is a first-person shooter. It's by Rocksteady Games. I think most of you will know Rocksteady for the Batman games, the Arkham series of Batman games. Yeah, it's a first-person shooter, and for some reason it really gripped me when I played it. I don't know, there's something about the weapons, the impact of the weapons, the impact that they have on the enemies, the fact that you can get all of these mini goals within the missions, that you can try to stun your enemies and not kill them, but you're also rewarded for headshots within a mission. And it's very old school. There's no regenerating health at all. There's also no real med packs that you can collect. Sometimes in the level there will be like a paramedic who you can go backtrack and get healed, but this only works, I believe, 3 times per level. There are also these emergency situation levels, which are like regular levels, only timed on top of it. And if you complete these, you will unlock better equipment, better weapons. All in all, I have to say I finished this game today, and I must say I really enjoyed it. I think this might be like a bit of a hidden gem. I don't think a lot of people have really heard about this. Urban Chaos Riot Response. Also, I wonder if this game is somehow supposed to be related to the other Urban Chaos game. That's, for example, also on Dreamcast and on PC. I haven't checked it out yet, but that would be interesting as well. Okay, next one is Outlaw Volleyball. This is just a game that I picked up because it was really cheap. It was in one of the places where I got some of the other games, and this was one of the games that was really dirt cheap. I think it was €2.50. And since I don't really have any other volleyball games in my collection, I thought, oh well, let's give it a try. For €2.50 it should be okay. If it's really not great, then €2.50 lost, so that's okay. And then we have this one, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which in the last weeks I did a bit of research on some of the better classic Xbox games. And this came up in some of the lists as like a hidden gem, or as like one of the games that are a bit underrated. And so I ordered it. I played it for a bit, maybe for half an hour, and I have to say it's really quite a nice game. I guess especially if you like the show, which I did. I enjoy the series, and it has all of the actors from the show, and this is the cat acting up next to me now. So let me just quickly pause here, get the cat out, and then we can continue. Okay, anyway, so let's continue. Yeah, anyway, this has the actors from the show speaking the parts in the game. And as I said, I played for half an hour. The dialogue was quite nice. It reminded me of the show a lot, and also it looked quite nice, and it plays not too bad, not too shabby. So I will definitely give this one some more time and see if I really get into it. And then we have Kingdom Under Fire: The Crusaders. I believe this is the sequel to Kingdom Under Fire Heroes, I believe it's called. I have the first game in the series. I played both of them a bit back in the day when the Xbox was new on the market, but I've never really gotten into them. All I remember is that they had, for the time, really nice graphics, and it was really an interesting concept. So yeah, I will definitely try to give this one another try. And then we have this one, Raise as Hell. To be honest, I have no idea what this is about, but the cover looked interesting, and the back cover as well. And I remember back then, maybe I've heard about this game, I've read something about this game. It was also dirt cheap, so I got it, and I will have a look at it at some point and see. Then we have another classic, Tony Hawk's Underground Part 2. I have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, Tony Hawk's Underground, everything I already own on the classic Xbox. I have the first and the second one on Dreamcast, so I've been a fan of the series for quite some time. And I played this one back then at a friend's place, but I never had the copy of my own, so now I finally have it, and I will give this one a go. I played it for a bit earlier today, and then I remembered that this game was the one where you had the classic mode and also a story mode. I only played the classic mode a bit again, which reminded me of good old times with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and the version on the Dreamcast, and back then even on the PlayStation at a friend's place. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite series, so happy to have this one. And next one is Mech Assault 2 Lone Wolf. I remember playing this back when I had my Xbox. I never had a copy of my own. I have one now. As you can see, it's still sealed. So I'm debating with myself whether I should open it or not. Probably I will at some point, just to replay it. Once again, one more of the games that I've only played a bit back then and I never really finished. And this is something I want to do now. I want to get back to some of the older games and give them a go again. And one more game, PsyOps: The Mindgate Conspiracy. This one I played when I first had my classic Xbox, and I remember I finished it, and I remember I really liked it, so I had to get a copy for my collection now as well. And then we have this one, not sure how to pronounce it, either Jager or Jaeger, however you want to pronounce it. I heard good things about the game, since I really like Crimson Skies on the Xbox. I think this one is maybe a bit similar, so this is why I got this one. Also, it was as well very cheap. I think in general it's worth to note that I think currently the Xbox Classic, this is a very good system if you want to collect games, if you want to get into games, if you want to get really good games at a really fair price. If you compare it to any of the other systems out there, any of the other retro systems, like older stuff like NES and Super Nintendo, where the prices are by now so high, where you can pay through your nose even for just cartridges without any packaging. Xbox Classic is a really nice system to go for, because first of all the consoles, the hardware is not that expensive to get, and there are still a lot of places where you can even get some of the games sealed, shrink wrapped, and even if they're used most of the time, they're really in still good condition, because most likely you will still be able to get complete in-box games for probably around 5 to 10 euros. This is the price span I mostly see for these kind of games. There are some games which are a bit pricier, but then again there are also a lot of games that are 2 euros 50 or 3 or 4 euros plus maybe a euro or two of shipping. So I think really now is the best time to get into collecting if you're really into a system that's maybe also a bit, in general, a bit underappreciated and that has still a lot of games. Also there are a lot of multi-platform games which were released back then on the GameCube, on the PlayStation 2 and on the Xbox. And from my personal experience I have to say, most of the time the Xbox versions is the version that is the best. Just if you compare it, if you compare the graphics, if you compare the audio. I mean the Xbox, the classic Xbox, I wanted to say 360, but the classic Xbox, one of the really nice things that I liked back then about the system was the fact that if you used an optical cable, you could get Dolby Digital 5.1 sounds out of the games, like in real time. Whereas on the PlayStation 2, this would only work in games, in cutscenes where the audio was pre-recorded in Dolby Digital. So this thing alone, this feature, for me makes a lot of games worth playing on the Xbox. Also, in general, might be a bit weird and people might feel different about it, but I like the Xbox controller better than the PlayStation 2 controller. I have to say though, I'm referring to the S controller, the smaller one. I'm not referring to the huge one. I think it's called the Duke, or referred to as the Duke controller. That one I definitely think is, I don't know who came up with this. I think this was one of the worst things about the system originally. But if you can get a console and 1 or 2 controllers of the slim ones, there are also very good third-party ones, then I think now is the time to collect. Just have a look at some of the games that interest you and at the prices, and maybe you might get to appreciate the system as well. Anyway, so sorry about this interlude. Now next up to the next game. On to the next game. This is Shadow of Memories. This is a game that I've read a bit about and I saw some videos, and it sounds really interesting. It sounds like an interesting concept. Also, from what I read and what I heard, this this game is set in a fictional town in Germany, and from what I can tell, it was developed by a Japanese developer. It's a Konami game, and it's usually quite curious and interesting as a German to view or to see how other cultures view our own culture, like the German culture, the German lifestyle. So this is one of the reasons why I got this game. And next we have Crazy Taxi 3. For some reason I thought it was Crazy Taxi 3 High Roller. Maybe it was only has the subtitle in the US or in Japan, I don't know. Anyway, I got this because I'm a huge Dreamcast fan, as some of you might know, and I have the other games on Dreamcast. They are some of my favorite arcade games, so I had to get this one to complete the collection. I think it's probably not the best game in the series, but still it's definitely worth the like 5 euros I paid for it. And as I said, on the Xbox at least the audio visual stuff is very nice, so yeah. And then we have Time Splitters 2. I believe I've played this one a bit back then. I've never finished it. What I have finished is Time Splitters 3. I don't remember the exact title just now. Future Imperfect maybe. So anyway, I've played and I've completed the sequel to this game, but I've never completed this one. So I got this one for my collection now, and I'm trying to finish this one as well, because I really have to say I really liked the other game from the series. And then we have, oh, this one even still has the price on it. Let me just remove it. This is Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. Played this one 2 days ago for maybe half an hour just to check if it was working, and I was positively surprised. I only read about this a bit when I was researching for some games that are still missing from my collection, and I read that some people think that this is quite a good Indiana Jones game, and since I'm a fan of the movies and I like the old point-and-click adventures back on the Amiga 500, it was still, I decided to give this one a go. And also, again, really cheap, €5 I paid for this, and from what I played so far, it looks interesting. It's not probably not the best platformer puzzle game in the world, but it looks nice. And then there's another game which I haven't really played before at all, and I've only read about it now when I was researching a bit, and this is Voodoo Vince. I tried this one yesterday, I played it for about an hour. This is a platformer. You play as the titular voodoo doll, Voodoo Vince. I think your maker was kidnapped basically, and you're trying to free her again, and she's talking to you telepathically and giving you hints and telling you what to do next. And all this basically is a platformer with some puzzle elements. I really liked what I played so far. I liked the music, I liked the graphic style, I liked the humor in it, so I'm looking forward to keep playing this one and hopefully finishing this one as well. And then we have Jade Empire. In this case, this is the limited edition that comes with the game. That comes with the game itself, and also some bonus content. I haven't had a look at the bonus content yet, but I have finished Jade Empire back then on the original Xbox. It wasn't my own copy, it was a friend's copy, but yeah, I definitely needed a copy for my own collection because I really liked this game. It was really nice playing this game and finishing it. It's a BioWare game, so most of you will probably know BioWare from the Mass Effect series. This was one of their earlier games, and yeah, as I said, I really liked the game. This one, along with Sudeki, which I believe a lot of people didn't really like. For some reason I really liked Sudeki as well, and Sudeki was another game that I finished back then, and Sudeki I also have in my collection. And then we have another one with a price tag on it. Let me quickly move it. This is Star Wars Republic Commando. When I was doing my research, yeah, this was one of the games that came up in like hidden gems videos or underappreciated games, and especially in many discussions where people were saying, oh, I want a sequel to this first of all, and other people were saying I want an HD remake of this game. But supposedly it's really good. So I got this one. This was one of the more expensive games at €15. So yeah, I mean, as I said before, €15 is quite expensive for a classic Xbox game, and in my opinion it's not a lot of money. So as I said before, maybe think about getting into collecting for the Xbox at some point. And then there are two more, the last two. This is another one of my most favorite games, which I played back in the day and I finished back in the day, but I never had my own copy, so I had to write this wrong at some point now. This is Mercenaries. The first one is Playground of Destruction. One of my favorite games of all time, probably. It's an open world game where you are tasked to go into the war zone. I think it's a demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. It's a fictional story, obviously, but it's set in a demilitarized zone between North and South Korea, and you are tasked to find and either kill or bring in alive, I think it's 52 of the leaders. So it's like a pack of cards. They are displayed as a pack of cards, and you just go into this open world. You can basically do what you want. There are several different factions. I think it's at least 3, maybe more. There's North Korea, South Korea, and the Allied Nations, I believe they're called in game. And you're just there as a mercenary. You can try to blend in on either side. If you are riding in a North Korean vehicle and you don't cause any issues, any problems, then everyone will just assume you're North Korean. So the South Koreans and Allied Nations might attack you, and vice versa. Yeah, but anyway, this is a really interesting game, a really great open world game, which lives up to its name, Playground of Destruction, because there's really a lot of stuff you can destroy in the game. I like the fact that there are so many explosions of the vehicles, and that you can order airstrikes and basically bulldoze whole buildings, and yeah, anyway, so give this one a try if you haven't yet. And finally, the last game. Another one of the games I really liked back then, which I never had my own copy of. This is Splashdown. As you can see from the cover, if you don't know the game yet, you can probably guess what it's about. It's a bit like Wave Race on the N64 or on the GameCube. I don't know exactly if I would place this ahead of Wave Race 64 or a bit behind. I think maybe for me they're both equal. I mean, Wave Race 64 on the N64 is a masterpiece, one of my favorite games of all time. And this one is also really good. I really like it. I like the fact that in this game the handling and everything is a bit different. The jet skis or the jet boats, whatever you want to call them, they handle a bit differently. But the tracks are different. But what I like about the game is, first of all, that you have a soundtrack of regular music, like pop music and different kind of real music, not original music. And the fact that some of the tracks are really interesting in this game. I especially like the fact that there's a track, at least one track in there. I don't remember if there was more than one. Maybe there's one track in there which is a track inside a water park, or whatever you want to call it, where you can even go up and down, like you're driving up or down, like these huge tubes, and it's really interesting, and it really gave the game something that set it apart from Wave Race. So if you haven't played this one, maybe watch some videos and maybe read some reviews, check it out. Maybe it will be interesting for you as well. So anyway, that's it for now. That's just quite a few games that I added to my collection. As I said, I already have quite a lot of original Xbox games, and these were like some of the last ones that I was missing from my collection. There are now, I think, maybe 4 or 5 games that I currently have on my list where I know I definitely want to still add, and maybe there are also a few more out there which aren't on my radar yet. But I'm really glad that most of my collection is now complete for the Xbox. And I can only tell you again, especially if back then maybe you were a PlayStation 2 fanboy, maybe have a look at the Xbox catalog. The Xbox has a lot of great original games that you can't really find on any other platform. And even, as I said, there are also a lot of games that are on the Xbox platform and on other platforms, GameCube or PlayStation 2. Most of the time the Xbox version is the best version. So maybe think about it and maybe become an Xbox classic collector as well. And yeah, let me know in your comments what you think. And that's it for now. and see you next time then. Bye!